Welcome to another episode of Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. Of course, I'm your host, JJ Kitchen. Guys, tonight, wearing a little bit of the K Collection, the K Collection brand that's here, if I can find it on the screen here. The K Collection, the coffee brand by Austin Kitchen. My younger brother got to pick up some gear. Just hopped off a plane roughly about 30 minutes ago from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Myrtle's Inlet. If you guys don't know where that's at, it's a beautiful place. It was great to be down in Myrtle Beach to watch Pitt beat Stanford. Plenty of discussion throughout that. We'll talk about that tonight. We'll talk a little bit about what's to come here in 2 weeks. Does College Game Day come to the University of Pittsburgh in the city of Pittsburgh for the clash between two potentially ranked top 25 teams, along with the College Football Playoff Committee ranking their teams this week? That'll be a fun thing to watch here this coming week. But before we even get into that, the legacy of Pat Narduzzi. We were here roughly, you want to say, 5 weeks ago. Myself and others were certainly on the bandwagon to get rid of Pat Narduzzi, but we are here today after Pitt defeats Stanford 35-20 on a 7-2 ride, a 5-game winning streak, a new quarterback, a revived defense, and a visible path to an ACC championship. What does that look like? We'll go through it. And of course, the panel is here again tonight. We're lucky to have their free time. Thank goodness. Harry Paceras is on here tonight. Eric Dudek is here tonight as well. The Bird Cave. Make sure you guys give them a follow. They'll be talking about where you can follow them again. And of course, I got to have a little bit of my stuff on here tonight from South Carolina, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers tonight. So I'll be sporting them along with the K Collection. But before we get into it, the show is sponsored by Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102. Tremendous people, great customer service, but more importantly, a massive selection. Guys, you have a couple weeks off here this week coming up here. You'll have an off week, but then we head down to Acrisure. Before you head to Acrisure, head to Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102, to get all of your needs for the tailgate. Again, tremendous people. Bill and Alan run the organization. Two great Pitt men season ticket holders. Make sure you support Pitt men and small businesses. I support small businesses in my workforce and small business banking, but more importantly, supporting Pitt men. It's always a bonus. Again, Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102. The show is also sponsored by Thompson Law Group with Brian Thompson, an attorney on your side. Call them today at 724-799-8404 or visit them at thompsonattorney.com. Again, Brian Thompson, you guys have met him at the spring game. We sit together in the club area, just in the North Club, on the home side every single game. A tremendous Pitt man, has a great family, comes from a great family. But the great thing about Brian, unlike the larger law firms, he cares about you, the individual. He doesn't treat you like a number, treats you like a person. But more importantly, he sends you through a process from beginning to end and gets you the results that you need to be successful in your case. Brian truly works throughout the community, especially a major sports guy, very athletic individual, and a Christopher Newport University in Virginia alum. Hardcore, but a guy that's just truly a great individual and works his tail off day in and day out. Make sure you guys go see Thompson Law Group with Brian Thompson. Call them today at 724-799-8404 or visit them at thompsonattorney.com. And again, of course, the K Collection brand, the coffee brand by Austin Kitchen of the Seattle Mariners. Go to www.thekingscraft.com. Austin Kitchen, my younger brother, alum of Mount Lebanon High School, a Whitfield hometown hero. A guy who did a tremendous job in his time at Mount Lebanon, went on to Coastal Carolina. The Chanticleers won a national title, and now in the major leagues with the Seattle Mariners. Remember to support the K Collection, the backwards K. It's a great brand. Personally, me, again, my favorite. The AK Espresso, just had it this morning. Had a cup of this, guys. Even getting on the plane. Couldn't even sleep on the plane. This thing had me ready to go. I was getting ready to join Pitt football on the field this coming week for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish game. That's how pumped up I was. Make sure you guys go get yours today at www.thekingscraft.com. Go on there today. And, of course, it's the black bag, the backwards K, the K Collection, and personally, my favorite, ask for it, the AK Espresso Batch. Get yours today and support a hometown kid in Austin Kitchen of the K Collection at thekingscraft.com. Obviously, we'll get into it here tonight. Lucky enough, we got our esteemed crew on here. Harry from Pittsburgh Sports Now and Eric from the Bird Cave. Gentlemen, Harry, Eric, how are we doing today, guys?
Can't complain. Well, it was a good weekend.
It was a good weekend.
I didn't think I was going to make it, man. The wife had me Christmas shopping already.
Oh, it's brutal.
Oh my God, she caught the bug, man.
Oh, brother. Well, at least you're there to take care of it. That's the good thing right there. See, that's a good man right there.
I was just there to pay for it. That's it.
Well, speaking of paying for things, Pitt is paying for a lot of W's right now. 5 wins in a row. It's a complete turnaround from a 2-2 football team. Questions at the quarterback position, but before we get into the game, questions at the head coaching position. One of the things that's going on around college football is the massive firings around college football. Again today, Hugh Freeze from Auburn gets fired. Mike Locksley from Maryland University gets fired. They probably hadn't even had a winning season in the last 10 years. I mean, they've had certainly a tough time, and their adjustment to ever leaving the ACC for the Big Ten. More coaches are probably on that hot seat. Florida has an open position. LSU has an open position. Brian Kelly, such a great individual, did not hold on to his job because he's just full of high character and standards. He does not have a job. But more and more jobs are opening up. Virginia Tech, you've heard about that one opening up. More names are about to come through the pipeline. We were here roughly about 5-6 weeks ago, and I was certainly the person heading the storm of getting rid of Pat Narduzzi. The question that I have to you, gentlemen, I'll start with Harry first. The hot topic is it probably a good thing Pitt's not looking for a head coach because of the issues with how many jobs are open, or do you think it does not matter? Harry, what are your thoughts on that?
So I can opine on this. I did a preview on the Great Bird Cave, Eric's podcast, and they asked me about Pat Narduzzi's legacy. And in a weird way, I guess I'm a Pat Narduzzi apologist, but what I would encourage Pitt fans is do not think myopically, even though you might have some frustrations with dues. Look at the decade prior to the Narduzzi decade. And what we ran into was sheer chaos and embarrassment. And I'm going to go back to the Todd Graham debacle, Dave Wanstead getting fired, the second Steve Peterson era. I can go on and on and on. So Pat has brought us some stability. But what's interesting is after the Louisville game, and I think most fans that have followed me for years know that I'm a hype guy. I believe in positivity, and I hated going negative and even implying that we should, but at that point it looked like Narduzzi might not make the season. Insert one player. JJ and I were talking about this prior to coming on. It reminds me of a movie. You bring in Magic Mason. And magic is the word, because all of a sudden we're 5-2. Narduzzi looks very safe. People have us ranked. We're chasing at an ACC title. It's been, I say this every week, but it's astonishing at the juxtaposition between where we were and where we're at now. The reason I think many fans should be thanking Mason right now is there's a glut of jobs that are open. And if Narduzzi were to exit, we would be fighting a myriad of different schools. And I think we're, Pitt's in a position where Narduzzi, clearly we're going to have a pretty strong season. I don't know where we're going to end up. We could have 9 wins, 10 wins. We don't know. But the point being, the injection of one player that seemingly knew how to run Capel's offense has potentially saved Pitt from having to take a potentially lesser coach than what they wanted, or a third or fourth option, because you're fighting some pretty big names right now. And by the way, I don't consider Auburn. Someone got a hold of me and said, man, that's a big job, Auburn. I said, they've had 4 coaches in 6 years. It's a dung heap down there. Something systemically is going wrong there. So, of course, we all know Alan Green hired one of those coaches. But the point being, it's a dysfunctional university. So my major message is that one player has not only turned the season around, but possibly put Pitt in a more favorable position by actually keeping Narduzzi. And we don't know what's going to happen next year. He might be here another year. You're looking at less of a buyout, or he might retire. But I think we're in a better position now than we were after the Louisville game.
I couldn't agree with you more. And the turnaround has been showing it on the football field. And to your point, Harry, I couldn't have said it better. Nobody predicted the level of openings that we've seen so far. Penn State, who was ranked in the top 3, which I think the majority of us even said that was way overranked. They are now on a 6-game or a 5 or 6-game losing streak. James Franklin gets a $54 million buyout. He's looking for a new coach. He's looking for a new job. What that whole debacle has looked like. Coaches around the country now. Matt Roll, who was 2-25 now against ranked opponents, gets a 2-year extension and a $71 million buyout. We're seeing crazy stuff across college football. But Eric, when you look at Pitt's situation, did Mason Heinchel truly save, in your opinion, did Mason Heinchel potentially save Pat Narduzzi's job?
I think the short answer is yes. But I also
agree.
think Harry alluded to, and we don't know, that like if Narduzzi retires, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And let's say he is not here for that aspect. It makes the Pitt job more attractive. So he's doing
That's a
both.
good point.
You know what I mean? So yeah, anytime you have this many openings and in this many quality openings, yeah, there are some schools that are by name only, like Auburn and things like that, are perceived good jobs, but they're probably not. It puts Pitt in a strong position to continue the success next year with Mason, as well as all of these true freshman players that are contributing and playing well. Regardless of how Pitt finishes this season, it seems as if they are building something. Not only with Mason, but with a lot of the influx of the young guys on defense. I'm sure we'll talk about some of those guys here. So I think he saved the job and presents Pitt as a stronger destination place if there were be a vacancy, maybe due to Narduzzi retiring or something else.
And that's a good point there, is that potentially what does it look like down the road when he retires? And I think that comes sooner rather than later from people that I've discussed it with. But a great comment here from MWay412. Guys, again, if you want to get your comment up on the screen before anybody else's, use the super chat button down below, subscribe, and like the channel. I remember after the Louisville game, Carlo mentioned that no one rallies the troops like Narduzzi does. He couldn't have been more right. Pat deserves a ton of credit for how he has had this play out. One, I agree with this because he has rallied the troops, but also, Capel really made a tough move along with Narduzzi to change quarterbacks. One, it's only 4 games into the season, but for how the offense was operating, a lot of dysfunction going on in the locker room, he deserves a lot of credit for making that change. Now, does that go without the faults of Pat Narduzzi? For instance, Pat Narduzzi has a PhD in calling third down and long timeouts when we're on defense and then giving up a massive play, potentially even for a touchdown. It's legendary. I think very few coaches can do that besides Pat Narduzzi. We saw that again yesterday. But at the end of the day, this is a defense that he has constructed, that it's his defense, that Randy Bates calls, that's coached by Ryan Manilak, Tim Dowse, Corey Sanders, Archie Collins, that allowed only negative 10 rushing yards. Negative 10 rushing yards in this football game yesterday. You look at the coaches that are there, and it comes to really good leadership to see what does it look like on the frontal note. And look, again, Pat Narduzzi has a lot of faults. There are a lot of things that he does that I just shake my head at and just say, what the hell are we doing? But to this comment here, he does deserve a lot of credit because where this team was going, if a quarterback change was not made, or worst case scenario, he changes quarterbacks, it's an absolute failure. The team looks even worse than what it was. Pitt loses 6, 7, 8 games. I don't think Pat Narduzzi's here next year. I think Pitt's one of those teams that has a $25-30 million buyout that they're looking to pay to their coaches, which now, 2 months ago, which would have been the second highest paid buyout in the country, now is like the 15th because of the money it's being tossed around for buyouts. And to both of your points, I think that the Pat Narduzzi dilemma of keeping here another year, the season turned around a lot better for the best, is only going to help Pitt because of your points. The market is so saturated, and you have so many guys that are opening up to other positions to get other jobs. And now we're seeing coaches who are currently sitting head coaches, where Matt Roll is 2-24, gets a 2-year extension, $71 million buyout. He's involved in that. Nebraska will never be able to get rid of him now unless they want to fork up some serious cash. You look around the country, the same thing goes. Marcus Freeman was really one of the big names, the big fish out there, but he is very much committed to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You've got Brian Hartline and that name out there, Bobby Chesney. You got James Franklin looking to go places. You're very much in a market to where you're trying to find that next hit football coach, and we don't know what that would have looked like. Do I truly believe that Mason Heinschel saved Pat Narduzzi's job? I'd say yes, because this football team is a completely different looking football team right now. That the offense, and we'll get to a lot of the penalties and the dilemmas that we saw yesterday, points left on the board, but you saw a football team really in the two games against West Virginia, which is a 3-6 football team right now. They beat an apparently ranked a Houston team where the quarterback couldn't even make a forward pass, which was absolutely crazy to watch yesterday. I turned it on for 2 seconds. The guy can't literally couldn't hold the football. I mean, that was the craziest thing to watch on multiple occasions yesterday. But they're a 3-6 football team now. Louisville, who has at least proven to be a good football team, they're in the race for the ACC conference title. What that looks like, at least that's a good loss. But for how bad the offense looked, the procedure penalties, the false start penalties, not being able to convert in the red zone. We saw how many times the team couldn't even get over 17 points, 20 points in a football game, throwing interceptions in the red zone, which we'll talk about that in this football game here from yesterday. But to Pat Narduzzi's legacy, it is the one thing that I think that has been the good turnaround, where Pitt is not involved in a lot of this stuff where you're seeing around the country, where a job is open, you have no idea what's going on, you have nobody in terms of a recruiting class. Look at all these recruiting classes now. You're looking at a number of different guys looking to flip. In my opinion, I think we still land. I think right now Pitt is the leader for Matt Sieg out of Fort Cherry. I think he's a guy that potentially goes and commits to Pitt. I think for how well that visit went, I think there are other guys that are potentially on other rosters where down the road, where after the season, they see who's hired. They don't like the situation anymore. They leave the roster. They go into the transfer portal. There's that dilemma as well. 2027 kids that are currently right now committing to Pitt as well. Everything's going in Pitt's direction. And I can say from here, 5 weeks ago, under no circumstance did I see anything like this happening, where it was a complete, just call what it is, a shit show 5 weeks ago, where you had questions about Pitt, to now it's like, man, this football team is 7-2 and on the road and actually has a legitimate path to an ACC title. And you look at the ACC in general. I'm going to go back to Harry on this. You look at the ACC. Look at the top of the ACC right now. You've got, Georgia Tech lost last night to an NC State team that Pitt beat pretty handily with walk-ons, fourth-string linebackers, how many defensive ends we were missing. You've got Georgia Tech up there. You've got Virginia undefeated overall in conference play, which they have a loss to NC State, but it was a non-conference game. The conference just is, I think, in my opinion, a lot deeper than what people thought. Harry, when you look at this conference right now and how Pitt's season turned around, is it a major shock to you to see that Virginia is 8-0, Georgia Tech is 7-1. Who else is up there? Pitt is 7-2, and then there's another Miami. Yeah, Miami is 7-2. I mean, but then you have Florida State at the bottom, sitting at 4-4, and Clemson. Clemson is now 3-5. Did you even remotely think this was possible?
Let me say really quickly, if anybody watched that end of the Clemson game, they got hosed.
Horrible.
In all fairness, but let me go back to your point. That mix of Georgia Tech, Miami, Virginia, and Pitt. The beauty at the moment is we can legitimately say that Pitt has as good a shot as any of those teams, and we're going to be playing two of them to finish up the season. I will say too, with Georgia Tech's been fairly solid. I don't know what happened yesterday, but I will say that with Miami, I go back to Cristobal. A Mario Cristobal team can implode at any time. They're Jekyll and Hyde. 1 minute they're tremendous on the field, the next minute they'll lay an egg. So I don't know who we're going to get, but the beauty right now is I think Pitt has a legitimate shot to be in the ACC championship. And really, like I said, now Virginia, I have to say I haven't seen play as much, but I think Miami and I think Georgia Tech are beatable. So I like the position they're in. And the other thing I want to throw out, because we have all these Pitt fans watching, only because of the timing of this, We had a man today at Acrisure Stadium that I think in the future should be considered for a head coaching candidate. I just want to throw this out very quickly. My boy Charlie Partridge. And for any of the fans that DM me and go, but Harry, Florida Atlantic fired him. He inherited a cesspool at Florida Atlantic, amplified the talent level. They were on the cusp of winning. And I think it was Lane Kiffin, am I correct, that took over?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the coach. And he ended up winning the following year with the players Charlie brought in. Charlie is a absolute beast mode recruiter. He's an incredible human being, a great coach, and he fits the mentality of Pittsburgh. So we talk about, Eric and I think the one time on the Birdcage, we talked about cultural fits. Charlie fits, and given NIL money, he could do some damage with a lot of transfers. So I'm just going to float that out there in the future. He knows the program. His family loves Pittsburgh. I believe they have a house here still.
Yes. Yep.
And we're talking about and for anyone who doesn't know, the defensive line coach right now for the Colts. But if and when Coach Narduzzi decides to retire, that is a name you will hear me talking about quite a bit because I could see him at the helm of the program. So I thought I'd throw that out only because he's probably still in Pittsburgh if they didn't fly back to Indy already, but I want to throw that out there. I
couldn't agree more with you. I'm glad you brought that up because there have been numerous players, former players, and former coaches who have reached out to me that said, if that guy was ever a head coach again in the world of revenue sharing, but especially at Pitt, where the high school coaches in the Whitfield love Charlie, the players in the Whitfield love Charlie, but his natural knowledge of the game, but along with his connections and coaches who would come here, who normally would not come here, that would coach with Charlie Partridge, is through the roof. I'm not going to mention names who it was, but it's kind of shocking to hear some of those names that come forward and say, hey, this is a guy who could, in this level of day and age where there's a transfer portal, revenue sharing plus NIL money, he's a guy that, one, could recruit at a high level. I mean, think about how he was recruiting with little to no money. I mean, give him actually give him a purse, give him a real purse of money, and what could really be brought in across the board. Coaches that come in here to coach, especially the offensive side of the football, which would be his, really, not his non-side, unlike the defensive side of the football. But it is something to keep in mind. And I personally, I do agree with you, Harry. I think he would be, a damn good football coach, especially a head football coach, because of the money that guy would bring in here. One last comment. Some of your fans that watch don't understand how far back I go. Charlie and I, when he first came, would meet I'll just divulge a little bit. We would meet at Fatheads on the South Side. Yeah. And he would tell me who he's after, and I would give him the inside intel. I'm going back to Clint Session, HB Blades, all those guys. And he's an incredible. What I found through that, we built an amazing rapport, friendship. And you're talking about, you want a leader of men. You don't get any higher a character than Charlie. So I just thought I'd mention it since he was in town. But if Deuce retires, that's a name you'll be hearing from me. I'll be beating that drum to death. He isn't leaving the pros to deal with how ridiculous college football with transfer rules. Steve, I disagree with you because 3 years ago, there were no rules. We didn't have revenue sharing. Right. Yeah. You were pretty much off the cuff where, we were doing stuff behind the scenes to help raise money. That's a completely different ball game. And Charlie has said this to numerous people that it's about a structure. If there's structure, it makes sense. I think that's the biggest thing that people don't want to talk about. Clint Sessions, as everyone on Panther Lair called him back in the day. Yeah. Trying to give me another one here. Super chat coming in here from Will Z. Thank you, sir, for the super chat. All three, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, and Miami, can be had, but got to play your best ball and get healthy. Percy, Reed, and Biles being back will be big. Everybody remembers November, hail to Pitt. I agree, and I think that people want to get on, Stanley, and again, he had a tough beginning portion of yesterday's game, and I think we're going to switch over a little bit here to the actual football game that happened and occurred yesterday, which was a 35-20 ball game. Backups came in on the defense. Well, I call it backups. It's more like third and fourth stringers because we had so many guys that were backups playing yesterday already. But it really was a 35-13 game for the majority of that football game. Guys come at the end, it's 35-20. But when you see those games and they come across the field, one, Desmond Reed will be back in 2 weeks. Rasheem Biles, according to Pat Narduzzi, told the media that he will be back as well. Jaden Moore got his repetitions in, the debut of Oregon 4-star transfer Jaden Moore. He got his reps in. They kept him tight. They wanted to make sure he didn't get too many. But the limited amount of plays he was in there, he already had 3 pressures in that football game yesterday. So that's a massive factor. Will Jeff Percy be back? I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure he'll be back in time for that game. But I still, I tell people this, I still feel fine with Kendall Stanley. He's had a couple games here and there with some penalties that seem to be egregious, but some of them I don't agree with them being called. I still like Kendall Stanley. Ryan Coretta has certainly played his tail off. Lyndon Cooper has been a mainstay at center, and then B.J. Williams and Ryan Bayer have been their mainstay. Now, in the beginning of the first half of that football game yesterday, there were quite a bit of problems. I mean, Mason Heincho was certainly running for his life throughout the football field, and we'll go over a number of different plays that we looked at. But, Eric, when you looked at this game yesterday, WRW Pitt real quick. Yeah, Cruz Brookins will be back as well. Thank you for that, but he will be back as well, fully and healthy. Eric, when you looked at this game yesterday, this in any other year besides 2021 and 2022 potentially, this was a game that was a trap game. This was a game that Pitt normally you would say, okay, hey, they had a big win the previous week. They potentially lose this game, but this team is definitely more mature, and they come out victorious. When you went into this game beforehand, did you think it was a trap game? And then number 2, did you think it would be that well of a defensive performance and that Pitt would come out pretty victoriously, pretty easily?
Is it a trap game? 100%. It had to do with the opponent, but also that West Coast travel was real.
Yeah.
Especially if you haven't done it in a while and things like that. So that's why I think it was a trap game in a sense. When I watched this game, in truth told, I watched the condensed game on YouTube because Disney's a bunch of jagoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So I didn't get a full disclosure. I did not watch the full game. There is a condensed version. Actually, it's still on my TV. I'm watching. It's a 25 minutes and 8 seconds of the game that I watched. So with that being said, the way it started, especially the touchdown to put Stanford up 10-3, I started thinking shenanigans. You know what I mean? When stuff like that starts happening that's advantageous to lesser teams, that's what we talk on the Bird Cave and talk about the Thursday night shenanigans with the Steelers, how they just don't do well, especially on the road, which the whole AFC North doesn't do well. Started watching that, but I think the talent level just simply took over. You had, and I have this play up because I wanted to show this up later, but a big 3rd and 13 from their own goal line at one point. Even though I can't recall if it actually led to a touchdown or anything else, again, because I didn't watch the game. But those are plays that just killed momentum. It kind of brought Pitt back to the game. Don't worry about the shenanigans, and things like that. So I thought the talent rose to the top, and that's how Pitt prevailed. But it certainly was a trap game. And I do think this was the first game I think Mason tried to do too much.
I agree. And, for the first 3 quarters, I said it was great. And there were some fans that were getting after me yesterday. And, I will say this, winning's winning. Notre Dame beat, by the way, Boston College, for everybody needs to know, is what, 1-9, 1-8? I mean, 1-9, I think, or 1-8. I think it's 1-8. Yeah. Notre Dame beat them 25-10, and it was roughly like, 18-10, 19-10 for the majority of that football game. It was a tight game. Heck, they were only winning by 3 points after halftime. People have bad games. The question that you have to look at for each and every individual team is, do they crumble and lose, which we have seen in the past with Pitt, or is the team mature enough to say, okay, we're not having our best day, but we're still going to be able to be disciplined to where we move forward and we still win this football game, which we saw as the game went on. Now, people certainly made comments during the game that, Pitt needs to take out their starters. And here's why I disagree with it as the season goes on. When you look at the College Football Playoff Committee, Indiana has certainly put up a lot of style points. They are absolutely crushing teams. I mean, unbelievably. Now, also, too, there has to be reality, too, that the Big Ten is not as good as what they say they are. There's a lot of bad teams in the Big Ten. Now add Penn State in there, you're really looking at two really good football teams, Oregon and Ohio State. They're kind of carrying the threshold for the Big Ten right now. But these guys need repetitions. Now, do I agree with it? I'd look like a player option for Mason Heinschel. He was looking for a guy, didn't find a guy, runs for it, it fumbles the football at the end of the fourth quarter. We miss out on points. He throws 2 interceptions plus a fumble. Those are things that'll be really looked at on tape to be corrected. But for people saying that Pitt needs to pull their starters, I'm sorry to break it to people. These guys need repetitions, especially when they're out for numerous amounts of games. Now, Desmond Reed, who was out again, does not play yesterday, will not play this coming week because of a bye week. He's going to be off at 2 weeks now. He even said after a game, hey, I need some live repetitions to kind of feel like what it means to get hit again. And for Pitt, unfortunately right now, the ACC is getting a lot of flack. The Big 12 is getting a lot of flack. There's a lot of SEC bias out there. There are some teams ranked from the SEC who should not be ranked, which is absolutely ridiculous. But they have to be able to show style points. And the one thing I love about Cade Bell, while there can still be some discussion about how he's calling games, I do love the aggressiveness. I do love a football team that doesn't want to win 30-20. They want to win 70-20. And that's called putting your foot on an opponent's neck and taking out the problem. Because we've seen in the past, how many years under Pat Narduzzi did we see under Sean Watson, under Matt Canada at times? I mean, even Matt Canada pretty much told Pat to stay quiet, and he put up points. Heck, he put up 70-some points against Syracuse. But even, in the beginning portion, even of Whipple, they want to keep it close. Great football teams don't want to keep a game close. We want to be able to establish and absolutely beat an opponent. And also, it's in college football. How many times have we seen in college football where a team, for instance, like Pitt, notoriously with 9 minutes or 10 minutes left in the game, even with the 10-point lead, blows that game? We've seen it numerous of times. College football is a crazy game. And for me personally, I do not blame Cade Bell and Pat Narduzzi leaving starters in to make sure they are throttling opponents, especially when they're on the field and they're making mistakes. The last thing you want to do, it's personally, and Eric, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, same thing with Harry here, as an athlete, when you make a mistake, you don't want to leave the batting cage or you don't want to leave a practice field coming off with a bad repetition. Any good coach will tell you, hey, get your ass back on the line, get back to the line of scrimmage, and do it right. The last thing you want to do is let a guy go out and make a mistake and not do a good job. The good thing with Mason Heinschel is he wanted to keep going back out there. Mistakes do not crush him mentally. With Eli, that was a little bit of a different issue. Mason truly loves the battle, loves the competition. And I think it's important for these guys, especially for true freshmen and redshirt freshmen, they need the repetitions to see what it's like, especially when an offense or a defense is making adjustments on those players. We saw it last year. Yep. We saw how many teams made adjustments on Pitt's offense. It crumbled after Eli Holstein went out and numerous of issues occurred. I don't blame Pat Narduzzi and Cade Bell leaving the starters in. Gentlemen, starting with Harry, do you think did you have questions about the play calling from Cade Bell at the end of the game? And are you worried about Mason staying in the game and throwing those multiple interceptions in the red zone?
So realistic. So we scored 35 points. We had 3 drives into we absolutely dominated the fourth quarter. So we had 3 drives into the red zone. Let's hypothetically say those were money, and we would have had 56 points on the board. By the way, I had to use a calculator. It's pathetic. I'd use a calculator to come up with that. It's right. It's sad. I have an engineering degree. So point being is this: I was frustrated with Mason, but he's been so brilliant, you forget that he's a freshman.
Yeah.
And to your point, I think Eric said it. He tried to do too much. And you could read Bell's lips very distinctly when he said, "What are you thinking?" after he threw. And if he'd have just thrown that ball out, they could have handed it off to Boozy, done anything.
Yeah.
The only one that bothered me a little was the fumble. Because my thought is you're decimating an awful opponent.
Yeah.
You have 3 huge games coming. I don't want to put him in a position where he's injured, and then your host going into 3 of the toughest opponents you have on your schedule. And I had a few people giving me crap online. They go, "Oh, you never played a sport," blah blah. No. I understand what they meant. Listen. I'm a martial artist. You want to ground and pound and beat that guy down. I get it. My only fear was the injury factor when you have so many weapons at your disposal. But if I'm correct, a lot of people told me, and maybe I misinterpreted, that might have been a busted play, and he just
Yeah.
grabbed the ball and ran. So it is what it is. But I completely agree with you. I would have preferred putting up 56 because optics matter. When
Yep.
people are looking at the top, and that should have been my started with that. So, like I said, I think the 2 interceptions, he was trying to do too much. I talked about it. My son Max after the game, he called me. We were analyzing the same thing. He's still a freshman. I have to remember that. I should have rescinded my tweet. I was frustrated. I went to church this morning because I was cussing. And at the end of the day, the only one, like I said, that bothered me a little. I thought it was a selective run for him, and I'm like, God, why? I just don't want to see him broken heading into these 3 games. I would have preferred a run, a pass, anything. But overall, I was pleased with the aggression. I just wish we would have banked all 21 points and put him in.
I agree. And to your point, it was 21 points, certainly correctable things. And I think talking to people with the program, they say this guy's mentally tough. It's not gonna subside him at all. And when you watch Mason's energy on the sideline, he's pumped up the entire game. Eric, are you concerned, for a true freshman quarterback that makes those mistakes at the end of the game and then has to move on this rest of this year? Or do you think that, hey, this player is mentally tough, he can get through this, there's game tape, I'm not worried about it? What are your thoughts on the Mason Heinschel debacle at the end of the game?
It's a slight concern, just because the level of the competition, it's going to increase. I'm done worrying about his mental well-being, if you will, on the football field, and I think the coaches are not worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's great when you learn from mistakes while you're winning.
Yeah.
And I also agree that you leave the players in, you let Mason play through a mistake, because you learn a lot about, especially a quarterback, but others like a receiver who may have just dropped the big ball, running back who had fumbled. What does their next play look like? That tells you how composed they are. It tells you how mentally tough they are. And I am no longer in fear of Mason second guessing himself after a mistake. So therefore, obviously we don't want the turnovers, but I don't have a problem with the aggressiveness. I don't have a problem with them leaving players in the game and such too, because, Harry said it, the optics matter, unfortunately, in college. 24-23 versus 51-21, because I think Pitt could also be trying to fight for an at-large. I don't know if they can shoot up the rankings that quick if they were to, say, run the table, but they never get out of 3rd place in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have close wins versus the ranked teams, you want to blow out or have comfortable games against the lesser competition like a Stanford. So optics matter. I think that's what Pitt was generally trying to do. And also, too, I think Capel trying to call plays for Mason to get touchdown passes after some of his bad plays. It's kind of like, when you leave the game, you feel better about yourself. You know what? I fumbled, but I came back and I threw the touchdown. I threw a pick on that one red zone. We get back in the red zone. I'm going to try it again. And I threw a touchdown. Well, unfortunately, threw another pick. So it'll be an interesting film room this week with Mason and Coach Bell, and see how they work through those. Was it simply a bad ball? Was it a bad read? Those are 2 different things. If you just gave him a bad ball, you throw bad balls here and there. If he made a completely wrong read, which I don't think he did, the red zones looked like they were one-on-one balls. And I just kind of underthrew some of them. I think there was one kind of like a slant or something, which was a real bad one. So we don't know. We don't know what the playwood design was, but overly, I'm not that concerned.
Eric brought up a great point, though. If when you hear this young man speak, the maturity levels off the charts. So the
Yeah.
one thing, and I was having a discussion about it last night. Um, he's highly mature, highly intelligent, and at least this happened against inferior competition, and you can't help but think he's going to learn from this. I don't think there's a panic, and to your point, Eric, too, I don't think there's a self-esteem issue where he's going to start second guessing himself. I think he's such an intelligent kid, or young man, I should say, that he is. I think he's iron sharpens iron after a while. I think he's going to sharpen the sword a bit heading into these next 3 games. Maybe it's better that it did happen in California and doesn't bring it back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 100%.
I agree. And there's some comments in here. Head coach money talks for Coach P. I agree, but the one thing about Coach Partridge, it's not about the money. He would do it just because, one, he loves Pittsburgh, but also, two, the opportunity to be a head football coach in the Power Four. I mean, that's a big opportunity. And again, from people that were asking in the comment section, why did he leave? Well, one, there was no guardrails during that time. Here we are 3 years later. It's a whole different world. I mean, forget 3 years. 1 year later was just a wild debacle. It's been reined in somewhat. There's still a long way to go. But in my opinion, I would support that hire 110% because I know how he would recruit. Harry talked about it. I know how he recruits. I know what he could potentially do with a real purse of $15 to $20 million, just your basic revenue share, what they're putting out there, plus the NIL money, plus donations. Charlie's a very likable guy, but also, too, people know how he coaches. He coaches extremely hard, and he pushes guys to the brink, but they allow that and they embrace that because the guy cares about them. And again, I'm a big Charlie Partridge guy. I would love that hire because that's a guy that's ready to take over a program, in my opinion. And the NFL, the experience in the NFL has only helped him to see what that looks like at the next level. Ask Willett. Speaking of NIL, I read a rumor recently that someone allegedly gave a nice donation to the NIL fund. You guys heard anything real or Fugazi? Well, here's what I can tell you. I will not say who it was or what the donation was. But yes, there were 2 7-figure donations to the Athletic Directors Fund. Very sizable amounts, 7 figures plus. And what I can tell you, and people complain about Alan Green not talking to the media or going out there and talking. I don't know what they want him to say. I'm not sure what they want to hear, but what I can tell you from behind the scenes, they're finishing up Victory Heights project. That'll be done here at the end of December. But the fundraising, who I've talked to, and numerous, I'm not talking your average donors, the massive donors who were involved. We had roughly, going into his tenure, we had roughly 900 to 1,000 donors. Right now, allegedly, Pitt has over now 3,000 donors. They've surpassed the money that they've raised last year alone in the first quarter now. They've raised over more money than they did last year. He's doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, guys, and Pitt is very much invested in athletics. Joan Gable said it. He said it. There is a clear plan in place. And a comment was brought to me recently saying, and this was outside Pitt's athletic department, it was in another athletic department in the Big Ten, who I know personally said, JJ, they're clearly making severe moves to raise money because they are hiring people left and right for NIL and revenue generation. And I agree. And the fact that I heard it from 2 other sources, now I'm hearing it from someone outside the university, it says exactly that. They're spending money and they're raising money and they're doing a damn good job of that because there are some big projects and some big opportunities moving forward. The revenue cap is at 20.5. Green has said personally that he wants to get over the 20.5 because of NIL. It's coming, and I think he's done a tremendous job. He'll release that when that stuff comes out. I think there's potentially a deal in place for naming rights. I'm not going to say which building it's on, but there's a lot of stuff going around. And I think he's doing a tremendous job. And people don't, when people hear what's actually going on and the numbers that'll be produced, you guys will really appreciate all the hard work that he's put in because he's done a hell of a job. And we're lucky to have that guy. I can tell you that right now. There's a reason why when he was hired, he didn't want to say exactly how he would raise money here because he had the board of trustees from the University of Tennessee. I don't remember the last time someone has been hired as an athletic director in the place where they're coming from. The board of trustees followed them here to support him. Just putting that out there. There are a couple other comments in here. Let's see what we did here. Mason with bad turnovers in the red zone, but we need to line up in goal line formation to give the ball off to Goff. I agree. If you're expecting Pitt to go under center, that's just not in the formation. He's not gonna do it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Personally, I would like that, but hey, it's not part of his offense, and I can't complain about it when the guy's scoring 35 plus points a game. You have to run the ball from the one, especially after Boozy gained 7 yards on first down. I agree. Pound the ball, make the score 42-13. Stanford was gassed after that. It was a beautiful drive. I agree. Fourth quarter, to me, could be summarized as growing pains. Wouldn't sweat on it too much, too, considering Pitt usually loses games that get that way, but not this season. I agree. A couple other comments in here. Yeah, Deuce said in the post game it was a botched handoff. It was the case why he didn't slide. He got rocked, helmet to his left shoulder. Yeah, I mean, but that's a learning experience too. And I've said it before, and I was watching the game, and oh my God, there were times. I mean, my brother took a video of me yesterday because he's like, "This is the life of being a Pitt fan." He was throwing a bullpen out in the backyard that he has in his house, and the windows were open. And I was having a lot of cuss words come out during early portions of that football game yesterday because, one, we were giving up plays and we should have multiple interceptions. We were losing at 1 point 10-7. But there are times when Mason has to learn to slide. I truly love the competitiveness. He is a tough kid, but there are some shots that this kid is taking. And I mean, there are shots. I mean, it reminds me a lot of some of the quarterbacks who went from college into the pros and they're like, hey, you can't do that anymore. The same thing goes from high school to college. You want that durability to continue. We've seen where he got a little bit of an injury. I think he's still healing from that injury personally. But I think that this off, this bye week will certainly help him get to 100%. But he's got to get down. And I don't say that as if he's not tough enough to take a hit. But also, it's not that. It's just the fact that this kid has to stay healthy or the season's over. I am a firm believer if this kid gets hurt, we're up shit creek. I mean, that's just in my opinion because we watched this offense really fumble around, when you don't have the right guy in there. And I think it's truly important to keep this guy healthy. I love the admiration of wanting to take a hit. There will be times to take a hit, but I don't want you to take a hit every single time. And when there's a broken play, we saw it was an interception yesterday where it's a broken play. Instead of getting rid of it, he's falling down. He tries to make a throw. It's an interception. Throw it away. Live to see another day. And I talked to enough people around the team, talked to a lot of people around him personally. He's not affected mentally. It's another game. It's another pass. This kid is different. This kid is extremely different. 18 years old, how he talks, how he operates, but more importantly, when he's in that building, guys are playing hard for him because he goes to class and then he literally lives in the facility. I mean, anybody that I talk to says this kid is in the facility every single day. It is unquestioned. And that's why I give him so much credit. I'm not concerned with him. And I'm happy that to Eric's point, who had a tremendous point, by the way, that make your losses, make your mistakes in wins. And you're winning these games and you're making mistakes. Those are the ones you want to learn from. You start getting worried about concerns or confidence when you're losing. If you blow a game for your team because of a bad mistake, that may mess with you mentally a little bit. Like, hey, I got to reel myself back in, and that's up to his teammates to pick him up. But they are winning, and they're winning by multiple possessions. And to drop this here, I'm going to share my screen with you guys before we go into Eric's breakdowns. Share my screen here, if it'll pop up. Here we go. So I wanted to show you guys here this again. It's been a common denominator throughout the year. Okay. One, you look at these team stats, which are pretty substantial. Okay. Pitt had 25 first downs compared to 18. Third down efficiency, 5 of 13 to 6 of 15. So they were really almost close to 50%. Fourth down efficiency, 2 of 2 compared to 0 for 3. Again, they almost had 500 yards of total offense again. 304 passing yards. They had 336 because that's all they could do, especially that last drive. Rushing, 162 yards compared to -10. Okay? The one thing that I still want to see cleaned up is this right here. The penalties have to get under control.
Oh,
And to Eric, you've said it before. Harry, you've said it a million times. It has been a common denominator, and I've said it as well. It's been a common denominator over the years. When you face really good opponents, you can't be penalized, and it's stupid penalties. Like when you're in week 9 and week 10, procedure penalties should not be a problem. And again, no offense to Stanford. Stephen Thompson, who is a tremendous reporter for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, he does a tremendous job. He was out there, talked about how nice the stadium was, and I completely agree with him. That is a beautiful, perfect stadium across the board on a number of different ways. But when you looked at that game, it was like 60-40 Pitt fans, which was absolutely shocking. You turn on the TV, there was a lot of Pitt fans there. But you can't blame it on the atmosphere when there's really no noise there. You can't have the procedure penalties. When you see a holding call and it's holding, you can't have holding calls. It means if you're holding, that means you're really not in position. Your hands are in the wrong place. We saw it on a number of different players during the game. I went back on the flight home. I watched the game on the flight from Myrtle Beach. The guy was hustling the air. I love the guy. I hugged him on the way out. I said, I appreciate your brother getting us back here in an hour. I watched the game where I went through it from the airport on the airplane. There's a number of holding calls where it's like, okay, that just can't happen. Also, false starts should not happen when there's no crowd noise. I'm sorry. But when you have 10 penalties for 93 yards, the majority of times teams will lose that game. Stanford only had 6 penalties for 84 yards. Okay. You got to get the penalties under control. Because while Notre Dame had a tough game yesterday, they're going to be coming here to Pittsburgh. You're not going to get that bad team like that all the time. You're not going to get a team like that shows up and just has a bad game, because they're going to be ready for this game. It's a 7-2 Pitt team. They're going to be ready to play. And that stadium on the North Shore is going to be rocking. It is going to be insane. Also, Eric and Harry also talked about this during the year. Look at the time of possession. You saw that the time of possession was just out of whack for the majority of the first 4 games. Pitt, again, won the time of possession, even for how fast they were scoring. That's a major factor moving forward. And I think if this team can truly correct this penalty issue and get that corrected, while they're also going to be even healthier for this game, there's no reason why this team should not be in every game. And honestly with you, should not be able to win these games. These are winnable games for Pitt moving forward. After the first 4 games, I was kind of like, oh, holy hell, we're going to get absolutely just demolished in these games. If Pitt if they're able to be more disciplined than they normally are in these games, I think Pitt's got a shot. And I think Pitt has a very strong shot in the majority of these games, especially when Miami comes to town for the last game of the year after watching the whole debacle that they had this whole past weekend. Harry, we're coming up here. We talked about it. But obviously, before I get into the Notre Dame stuff, the defense. We saw this football team, and to pull up some of the stats here, which Sean Lee, man, let me tell you something. Jesus. This kid is a true freshman. Now, his dad played football at Penn State. He is a mirror image of his father. He is a baller. This kid is not to be messed around with. Also, too, here, Shakarian Boozy Turner, 127 rushing yards. That was awesome as well. Kenny Johnson did well in this game on the offensive side. But Kyle, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if I could interject, sometimes you take for granted when a player is brilliant. So we opine, and we should, on this incredible freshman class. Let me tell you one play that stood out to me. Kyle Lewis had an incredible interception. But in the fourth quarter, and Eric, I don't know how much if this play was there. They have a running back that was apparently third string, but they said he's a 4.3 40 guy. And JJ, you might know what I'm talking about. Yeah. He rips down the sideline, and I thought he took off, and I go, this is going to be a huge gainer for them. It was nothing but green grass. Out of nowhere, Lewis flies. Literally went from point A to point B in a nanosecond and nullifies the play. It was in his speed is incredible. He's going to make an incredible pro. And, you take for granted greatness. So you don't, sometimes I haven't even talked about him. I'm talking about the younger players I'm amazed with. He was awesome yesterday, but that play was indicative of his ability. And that's why he's such a weapon on the field. And then shout out, I don't even want to say the entire defensive line. when you look at the rushing yards, negative rushing yards, I mean, from the bread man to Nick James was a menace. Brew, Fitzsimmons, Ghost, all of them. Even Zelensky.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them all game ball. They dominated. They were incredible. But again, I just want to show that one play blew me away because it looked like it'd be a gain, like a massive gain for Stanford, and it was nullified in a nanosecond with his athleticism. So it was a pleasure to watch the defense yesterday, and they just dominated every facet of the game.
Couldn't agree more with you. And you talked about that play with Kyle Lewis, which was just freakish. I mean, the guy came out of the screen from nowhere. And, I mean, even the announcer said, this guy is an NFL player. I mean, hand over fist. I mean, this kid should go in the first round. Kyle Lewis had himself a day. And, gentlemen, we have said it on this channel. On this channel, we have said it for the last 6 weeks. We even said it after the first 2 games. Why was Cameron Lindsay not getting more repetitions? Because this kid is a freak of nature. Eric, you have been a forefront of this, by the way. Cameron Lindsay, 8 total tackles, 4 solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. You got to give, and again, I'm gonna say this till the cows come home because I couldn't believe it for how many years now the Pitt fans were saying this. Ryan Manilak is a freak of nature when it comes to the development of his linebacker room. Kyle Lewis, Cameron Lindsay, Rasheem Biles, Braylon Lovelace. Then you have also the guys in the back, Nick Lappy. Look how Nick Lappy has played. And he's been out the last couple of weeks, but when he jumped in there, the kid, like it's almost like he never missed a beat. I mean, Eric, when you look at this linebacker room, you look at the negative 10 yards rushing, which is absolutely freakish against a power 4 opponent or any opponent that is. But you look at this defense and how well it's playing. Look at Sean Lee, a true freshman. Then you see a guy like Cameron Lindsay, who's a redshirt freshman. Then you see a guy in there like Kyle Lewis, who's experienced and playing at a high level, comes back after missing last week. Kavir Baines-Marquez continues to play out of his mind. This defense, in your opinion, how well, and describe it to the Pitt fans that just don't understand it. How well is this defense playing right now?
They're playing extremely well when you do not have much of a drop-off with your backups. You have athletes, and you have players that not only are good players, but they're fitting into the system. There's a common denominator with all of Pitt's linebackers, and I loved, last year when I heard the Sharks and all that stuff, it's very descriptive. They know how to hunt the ball. They know how to pursue to the ball, and they know how to hit the ball.
Yeah. And
you have that in combination of these athletic defensive linemen that are winning one-on-one battles. And I recall the sack that Lindsay had that was great because he came untouched for that sack. And you know why he came untouched is because the defensive linemen did their jobs with I believe there was a stunt. And the guy that came to circle to the outside stunt did the perfect thing where he took the tackle's outside shoulder, which caused him to block him. Lindsay came scot-free, had the athletic ability to break down right in front of the quarterback and make the sack. They're playing so well as a unit, and they're communicating very well. Now, what could bite them in the butt is the aggressiveness. So I hope they keep the aggressiveness, but have some cautionary in the back end when you start playing Notre Dame and others. But you cannot – I mean, we've seen how many clips have I shown that I love to do it every week, even though it seems like it's copy-paste. Their pursuit to the ball, the way they just dominate the line of scrimmage, it's an absolute pleasure. And from an offensive guy, it's an absolute pleasure to watch these guys play ball.
Couldn't agree more. And a couple super chats here before we get into a couple of the breakdowns that you sent over, Eric. John Marzullo. Not to circle too far back, but Jeff Capel has a huge beneficiary of Alan Green being the AD. Would imagine Partridge would recruit well too. Well, Jeff Capel is doing better because of more money and whatnot, but also too, he hired a general manager that's legit. I'm calling it the way it is. That guy, the fact that West Virginia let him go because he was connected to Bobby Huggins is absolutely comical, but also stupid. I mean, I understand they want to move on from the Huggy Bear, but guess what? the reality is that guy can find talent. And I can tell you this year's team is not reflective of GM Kuntz. But let me tell you this. You watch this next year coming up in 2026, I'm telling you what, man. You have 3 top 100 players committed to Pitt. And if you're wondering, they're not going to Pitt because it's all about just relationship-wise. They're being paid. The relationship aspect of it with Jeff Capel is important. And they love Jeff Capel. They want to play for him. That's a massive factor. But also, too, a couple, one of the guys we aren't the highest bidder for, but they want to play for Capel, but they are being paid very well. The same thing goes for the guys over on the football side of things. So, at the end of the day, Alan Green has done a tremendous job raising money, but also being 110% along with Joan Gable in with sports. And I cannot be thankful enough to the level of just dedication that they're putting towards it.
JJ, brief side note. I'm Team Huggy Bear, and I'll tell you why. My father passed away 2 years ago, but when he was in the hospital, he received a call, and it was from Huggins.
No way.
And he gave my dad the most impassioned pep talk just to stay in the fight. And thankfully I had 5 more years with him after that. But hard to say about. I know he likes to tip the bottle, as do I on occasion. But I'm Team Huggy Bear. But thank you to West Virginia for giving us our new general manager, because, like you said, he's paying dividends.
Oh, the amount of West Virginia fans that were so pissed off at how well he's recruited has been pretty funny. But another super chat here. Thank you guys always for the super chats here. My apologies that this was already addressed. I'm worried about Pitt's ability to keep Mason if and when other teams come calling. What are your thoughts? I'm not concerned at all. None. The quarterback's the most important position. Money is not the most major factor to Mason and his family. He's got a very good family where he comes from in terms of what their goals are. Pitt will certainly pay. They're not going to be asking for top dollar, but I can imagine it's over 7 figures. But if Pitt, I heard this all last year too. We were talking about the Eli Holstein stuff. At the end of the day, he's going to get paid to stay here. I am not worried about that, because if we've learned anything, the first guy to get paid will be the quarterback, and he's going to get paid. So I'm not worried about him. The one that I think that I'm paying most attention to, and I'm just being honest with Pitt fans, I am watching the Cade Bell debacle. I am watching what goes on, because there's conversations from a number of different places. And I know Cade wants to win a national title. And from all intents and purposes, it has been established that Pitt is willing to do that. And Pitt has put forth millions and tens of millions of dollars. Right now, Cade went from the bottom of the ACC in pay when he first got hired, because he came from the FCS. It's pretty common standard. He's now in the top third of the ACC in terms of being paid as a top third ACC offensive coordinator. I would imagine after this year, fellas, and maybe if I'm wrong, I'm about like 95% sure he's going to get over $1 million. And we did the same thing with Matt Canada. Matt Canada went to LSU. We all saw how that panned out. Didn't even get a full year. But at the end of the day, Cade wants to work with Mason. This system works with him. They love the city of Pittsburgh. And I think that there are, other motives for Cade to stay here. And I think that one with the classes they brought in, this class has been truly phenomenal in terms of true freshmen. Wait till you people see this next class coming in. And I will say this emphatically. I talked to a number of parents who are committed to Pitt. They have gotten calls from the SEC and the Big Ten. There's about 11 of them I've heard from that have gotten major conversations, have been negatively recruited against Pitt, and they love Pitt. Now, those guys are being paid. They will be paid. And those guys love Pitt because of Narduzzi and Cade Bell and Ryan Manilag and Randy Bates. I'm telling you, when you guys see this next year's class, plus the class we already have now, plus the transfer portal class that will come into play, Pitt has a lot of returning. And, I understand there's certain jobs out there, but there is nothing worse. And I've talked to numerous coaches, Big Ten, SEC, the Big 12, and the ACC, all 4 conferences. And there are numerous coaches who hate starting from ground zero. And when you start from ground zero, you got to find players that work in your system. And if we've seen anything, fellas, if you go to a school and you don't perform in the first year or two, you're out. So there's no patience. So some coaches are starting to see that where it's not worth moving, especially if you have the resources to go get the guys that you want to go get. And I think right now, one of those schools that's having an issue right now is Penn State. And I understand big game James couldn't win the big game, but sometimes if you can win 11 or 10 games a year, sometimes you got to settle for that. And it makes sense. In some years, you'll crack into it, where like they did in the playoff and they were one game away from the national title. You're allowed to have a bad year. They fired a coach, and in my opinion, that will not be out-recruited by anybody else they hire. I think they truly made a mistake. I think they're starting to learn that from the guys that are out there, because Lane Kiffin, I got news for Penn State fans. Lane Kiffin is not going to Penn State. I'm sorry to break that to you. I know the truth hurts. He's going to Florida. I'm sorry to break that to you people. He's going to Florida. John Summerall will go to LSU. The names of these big-time guys who they thought they could get Lane Kiffin, they thought they could get Marcus Freeman. It's not happening. And, there's a lot of coaches that are out right now understanding, you know what, I'm pretty good, sitting tight, get another contract in, get another buyout in, and I'm good where I'm at.
JJ, if I could quickly interject.
Yes, sir.
I know I look like I'm 20, but I'm actually 150 years old, and I'm definitely older than Cade Bell. So I want to give Cade some advice, because you mentioned one name, and I just want to put this out there. Matt Canada, who I believe came from NC State. Yeah. Because I remember I talked to two of the reporters down there. There's no other way to put this, and I'm just going to be blunt. Matt Canada was considered an asshole. If anybody, he was cantankerous. No one could get along with him. They wanted him out of NC State so badly because he pissed everyone off down there. He comes to Pitt. He has great success. That year was great fun. We were seemingly able to score at will. And guess what? He got along with Narduzzi. It was like something that never happened with him before. So what did he do, though? And we were willing to pay him. And at the time, now it's easier money. Back then it wasn't. We were willing to pay him up to $1 million a year. He decided, I'm going to chase the glamour and go down to LSU. And guess what happened? He imploded. And I know this is going to shock everybody. They thought he was an asshole. Yeah. So point being, and I would throw this out to Cade Bell, and I based on my experience, is you're succeeding here at the moment. You have your QB, and they're willing to pay you. Sometimes looking elsewhere doesn't always work. So I just thought I'd throw that out there, because you threw the one name out that is a great example.
Yeah. I know. I just love Eric right now. Just when I'm watching Eric, he's just loving this. I love how he's just loving me and Harry going in right now.
It was Coach O that was the head coach down there at LSU at the time. Coach O wanted to strangle him. He hated him. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you had the one head coach that actually liked you. Yeah. What a dipshit. I'm sorry. I just can't believe what he pulled off. It was crazy.
And you got to figure how hard it is to work with dudes. The fact that those two guys liked each other. And the dude liked Kate. He liked Matt's offense so much when Sean Watson, which was an absolute disaster, he tried to mimic Canada's offense, keeping we saw obviously the jet sweeps, which never worked. And, obviously, unfortunately, Kenny had to deal with Matt Canada up there, who, basically ran 5 plays, which was absolutely just utter stupidity. Terrible. But I mean, at the end of the day, he was, to your point, Harry, that's all I heard. Is that he was such a dick. And and the fact is that when you're winning, hey, you let things go. But he got fired from NC State because he wasn't performing. So when you're not liked and you're not performing, you're pretty much going to get pushed out. And then Pitt fan held a Pitt here, another super chat. We got the talent, but the crowd needs to get loud to help the Panthers get this win versus Notre Dame.
That's fair.
Expecting one of the best atmospheres in my life so far. Hail to Pitt. And I couldn't agree more. And, again, I keep saying we're going to get to Eric's breakdown. We're going to get to it here right after this, I promise, guys. Because there's a number of good films in there I want to see. Because Eric, I actually looked at them. I'm pretty pumped about them. I couldn't agree more with this because, one, I like the section that I'm in because, one, me and Brian Thompson, who is a sponsor of the show, we are on our feet yelling the entire time. It is loud in our section. It's right above the band and, in the club section right there. We're above there. Guys, I cannot stress enough that it is time. And Houston, who is 7-1, which again doesn't have a quarterback who can throw a forward pass, but they were 7-1 and they had 21,000 fans at their stadium, and their stadium holds 40,000. at the end of the day, obviously, we're never that bad. No matter what Penn State people say or West Virginia people say, West Virginia doesn't even sell out their own stadium, so I don't know why they're ever talking. But then again, they're 3-6, so they got to talk about something. But at the end of the day, this atmosphere, I agree with you. Pitt fan, hell to Pitt. It's going to be a hell of an atmosphere, and I cannot wait. And there's a potential that College game day comes here. It is going to be an electric atmosphere, and I can tell you this. The players do love it when we're up and jumping around and we're loud, because there's a number of times I've heard from players that said, Jay, it was so loud when we were on defense that you can literally hear the offensive lineman saying, okay, we're not doing the snap count. We got to do a silent snap. We got to do a silent snap. We're going to be going off sides. So I couldn't agree more with the atmosphere, and I'm excited for it. Now, into Eric's breakdowns. We are actually going to get here this. Let me see here. Going to share my screen with you guys here, if it'll do it.
While I do that, like I said, truth be told, I don't know the full context of some of these games because Disney's a bunch of jagoffs, but shall do my best.
Yeah.
All right,
here's the first one.
Yeah, the first one. I just want you guys a little grainy. I put this first play of the game, another great example of the defense. This one is all about Fitzsimmons at the defensive tackle position right there. Yep, right over the ball. You just watch what he does, and there's a couple different angles after the play. Just takes the guard back in. You could see the guard flinch again because, look, watch this. He puts him right back into another blocker, and he just blows the play up.
Jeez, yeah.
Yep. I mean, he runs into the blocker. Doesn't really affect the play. I think he actually hits the tight end coming back. And then, he just blows the play up and just allows people to penetrate. And it was a tone center right off the bat, even though, again, there were some shenanigans at the beginning of the game. But this is just another example of the talent on defense and the gap integrity on every defensive lineman was there. The running back had nowhere to go. Absolutely.
Couldn't agree more with you. And to your point, Eric, I mean, look how far in the backfield he is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
boom.
Look at where he is.
Yeah.
I mean,
that guy for Stanford's head just jerks back, and he is going for a ride. Boom.
Puts him at least a yard back. I mean, just stonewalls him. That's a damn good first play of the game. That's why I was pumped too. I was watching this game. I'm like, oh, we're in it this game.
Mm-hmm.
Now your next one here, which was another good one.
So this is just another example of the timing of Mason. The ball placement is when I watched this play for the first time on the replay, as a receiver, I appreciate this so much because not only is the ball right there, but it allows Mason to basically react and not get killed.
Beautiful.
It gets him, look, in time, and look, one little step to get out of that. Now, the safety was holding up a little bit or pulling up a little bit, but the ball is on time with velocity, and you'll see it even on another angle. That step right there allows him to avoid the defender. Watch the ball placement, the upper shoulder, upfield shoulder. I like to see Kenny maybe catch up with his hands, but as long as you catch it, you catch it. It hits him plenty, and look at the room between him and the safety. Gives him enough time and enough space to react. And Kenny is probably the biggest beneficiary of Mason because he's now playing like the receiver. And I know Harry can attest to this. I was calling for him the breakout at least 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And to your point there, fellas, I mean, how well is Kenny Johnson playing?
Yeah, it's incredible.
The wide receiver one that we were hoping that he would be those last 2 years, you had a lot of questions, but man, is this kid, this kid has turned it on. I mean,
he's showing some NFL talent here, but yeah, it's just beautiful. Again, look at the pass protection too.
Yeah.
I mean, the offensive line was a little inconsistent, but at times they did this and they gave Mason a clean pocket, sets his feet, and he rips it.
It's a great throw. Just another great throw again. And the cannon of an arm this kid has is truly something.
Mm-hmm. I just appreciate that he threw that well enough. And this one here, V3, this is the one I was talking about earlier. Okay, so it was after a field goal, and Pitt is down third and 13. This, and again, so I know for a fact this did not lead to a score because Stanford had went up 10-7 at one point.
Yeah.
I love the scramble drill, and I love the way Mason keeps his eyes down the field, which is one of his most impressive traits, in my opinion. And this was a fantastic ball by Mason. But I want to show you what this runs a little bit later. The other angle it hits. This is actually also about Kenny Johnson. This is a great ball. Great catch. Watch this.
Boom.
Working back to the quarterback. Come back to the ball, and then just know where you're at. Notice how he did not stop coming back to the football. Make yourself available to the quarterback. Stops his route. Like, the guy falls on his ass.
Yeah.
But watch, look, he's still coming back. Still coming back. If he does not come back, that's an interception, or Mason can't throw the football. If Kenny flattens that out, if he stays like at the line, if he doesn't come upfield another 3 yards, that's not a completed ball.
Yeah.
And then he knows when that gets to 1 foot down, boom. Great play by Kenny.
Tremendous job there.
Okay, this is and this third one is short. I haven't given him. I've mentioned him a few times, but my man James, look at that. Look, first off, look at his get off, the defensive tackle. Look. He's already out of his stance. Look, and there's still some people that are still in their stance. Just watch him just absolutely wreck this play.
Damn.
Okay, he holds the guys up and he lets everybody else eat.
Just great job overall.
Great job. Great job.
And again, we talk about look at this lineman here. I mean, you just look at this. In one, they're in a heavy set. Obviously, you know what's coming. They're gonna, they're looking at especially running the football here. They got their heavy sets in, especially on both sides. And just watch how to your point, Eric, before. Watch his head. Just guard's head just snap back. Boom.
It's all about the leverage. As soon as he hits him, he's got the leverage right there. Look at him. He's got the leverage. It's going to stall him out, and it lets the other guys come in. And by the DN crashes as well. I can't see who that is. Who was the DN there? It looks like that is 56.
That's Jaden Moore. Jaden Moore, who just made his first start as a Pitt Panther. Look at him as well. It's the same thing.
He crashes, and he also leads. I believe he leads. He's able to spin off here and lead to the tackle. The athleticism. Then you got the guy in the corner and run support. Perfect. This is just, again, this is textbook playing complementary defense too. We got James disrupting the offensive line. 56
like
doing
Harrison.
And pulling the support.
And great job by there, to your point, the cornerback, Shadarian Harrison.
Yep.
And just very good athleticism, to your point here. Look, he's a guy, Jaden Moore, man, he gets caught up. He's able to deflect one block, has another block here, but then makes a tremendous spin move, gets off his blocker again for the second time. And Shadarian Harrison does a great job of keeping leverage outside, makes this running back not go outside through here. Instead, it goes right inside, and the guy's right there.
And you got the safety coming. You got the safety crashing down too. Well, both safeties crashing down, and then 9 and 7 McIntyre. They're all coming in too. Yeah, just the swarm. It's real. It's such a joy to watch.
And here's Sean Lee from the other side of the field. Here's Sean Lee from all the way down here.
Is that him, or was that 23 or 28?
23. I'm sorry, you're correct. That's Marquez.
Okay. Yeah, because the reason I was asking, I'm glad I saw just him coming from the middle of the field.
It's a great job.
All right, V5. I want to give credit to, I can't see who the tight end was. I think it was 87. The downfield blocking on here is
Jake Overman, yeah.
Overman, yeah. First, and when you watch the other angle, you'll get to watch this play. Then the other angle, you'll get to appreciate the blocking and why I clipped this play. Right there. And then you'll get to see a different angle.
Shakira and Boozy Turner, man.
First off, I do want to say, what in the blue hell kind of a toss is this?
I know he does have a funky toss. It does make me nervous at times. I will say that.
Yeah, I've seen that. I'm like, it's almost like it looks like it's a busted play. Like I've never seen. It's like a grandma toss. It's like
it looks like he's throwing a frisbee.
Yeah. You ever see those guys that shoot like what they call grandma at the foul line? That looks like what he's doing there. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But as you roll this forward, look at it. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. It does get me nervous because he's like, it's almost like hot potato. He's like, get this shit out of here.
I'm afraid that he hangs onto the ball just half a second later. That pitch is going to go 40 feet in the air.
I know.
All right, watch 87. He'll be coming in here. There he is. He gets on his
guy. What a block.
Boom. And what I like about it, he peels off just enough to where the Stanford player is almost, he's using his own momentum to get out. So he hits him, but backs off enough to where he doesn't get a penalty. Yeah, I apologize for the grain. I don't know why my phone didn't really record better, but yeah, look at it. It just falls off. You see he still has his head behind him, but then he just kind of falls off and lets the guy just fall down. And I mean, I have seen that called before. It's not a penalty, but I've seen it called before. I just love the downfield blocking because there was up there for a while there. What I've seen, Turner didn't have success at every single running play, but man, the ones he broke, he was out. He got upfield.
He's got that speed. And what you also love to see, to your point, Eric, wide receivers.
Yeah,
here's 80. Bryce Yates, a true freshman, blocking, and here's Blue Gutierrez, Blue Hicks. Here's Blue Hicks blocking. I mean, that's, you want the ball, you better be able to block. It's just all around. I mean, complimentary football.
And coaches see this. They see the guys in the receiver position hustling and blocking, and this goes for tight ends too, even though obviously they're required to block more. This is how you get plays called for you, by blocking, doing the dirty work.
And again, you got to say, just a great run by Shakira and Boozy Turner. I mean, this kid, he just continues to get better, and just look at the tight spaces. There's one, there's two.
He's Desiree Jr. He really is.
And by the way, that is a great run by him bouncing the outside, and he lets Hicks and the other Stanford player throw a block for him.
Yep. Instead of taking that hit on right there, he goes outside and gets himself another 15, 20 yards.
It's the vision. He has really, really good vision there. And, kid's going to be good. Another reason why it's a bright future. So this next one, V6, is –
V6 here.
V6, yeah. This is a couple plays. These are two plays, right? And this is about a 30-second clip, but there's two different plays here because there's multiple angles from both. Both of these are examples of four-man pressures. Only four-man pressures. It's, again, an absolute pleasure to watch. So if you want to get this back.
There's a bread man. There's Isaiah Neal. Just great. Wow.
Four just killed the middle of that field. If you got, did it go back all the way to the beginning?
Yep.
Yeah, here you go. Yep. Watch. I mean, they show, but look, only four are coming. Great around the edge. I can't really remember who was around the edge there, but look at it, just four guys on 4-beat-5.
I'll tell you what, it's a beautiful stunt in here. To your point, that four-man pressure, Isaiah Neal comes in. Jasir Whittington comes in. Isaiah Neal goes out. They do a nice little stunt there in the middle. And Isaiah Neal, man, he's doing a hell of a job playing D-end and D-tackle. How versatile is that kid? I mean, the kid doesn't complain. Came here to play D-tackle. He's playing D-tackle and defensive end. And I can tell you this, he's only helping his draft stock. Because if you can play both like that.
I love the passion he plays with, too. He really is. He's one of my favorite players. Yeah,
and Harry, you've mentioned it before. The kid, man, it doesn't matter what he does or what he's asked about to do. He does it, but he's also an incredible leader in this locker room.
Right.
I mean, you've mentioned that before as well. Yeah, just a great job overall. And then I also just love this angle here. Just watch. I mean, especially just nice, great job by Lovelace, showing a little bit of love there, and boom, just a great stunt here.
And it works because how athletic Neal is too.
Yeah,
But
great
four-
swim, nice little chop.
play. Yep, 4 makes that play because he drives that guy right back in the quarterback's face, and he has nowhere to step up.
I'll tell you what, and just that's another thing too. Number 4, Jasir Whittington, a kid towards the Philadelphia area, out of a great high school. I'll tell you what, here in the Pennsylvania area, this kid, man, he has gotten so much better. This is the perfect defense for him, especially at his size. Some people will say he's undersized, and this defense, it's perfect for him. And it proves a lot like a Kalijah Cansey, where those guys at that size, they play a high level here, especially like an Aaron Donald at his size. You can be that run stuffer, but guess what? In this, when you're able to be that tight and that compact, you're able to be a guy who's able to rush the passer. And to your point,
we have Lincoln Hope coming in the recruiting class as well. Lincoln's a dominant player on the high school level. He's going to transition well too in college.
Yeah. That's going to be fun to see Chris Hoke there, former Pittsburgh Steeler. For the fans that are watching the show, Chris Hoke, former Pittsburgh Steeler, his son, Lincoln Hoke of North Allegheny High School, hometown hero, Whippeal kid. We're happy to have him, man. And to your point, Harry, you've broken that down a number of times. That kid's going to be a hell of a football player for us.
And if you want to go this, there was a second play from in there.
Oh, yeah, you did say that. Here we go.
So this is later on in the game. Again, 4-man pressure, another stunt, and it's just a jailbreak. It almost looks like it's a blitz. Look, a same stunt. But this is where I want to go back. Watch the DN. That's 10? Watch the DN. Watch 66 in red. Back it up a little bit. Watch 66 in red.
Right here.
Yeah, yep. Watch his ass.
Yeah, Nick James. Nick James.
Watch what he does. Boom. Oh, sit down. Knocked him right on his ass.
Yeah. What a hell of a job, man.
Knocks him on his ass with one hand, too. After 62 disengage him, he just gives him that's almost like a Reggie White punch. Just knocks him right on his ass, and it's just a jailbreak with the 4 guys. Again, 4 beating 5. And 4 again. No, is that James, or is that who's the guy up the middle there? I can't really tell. That's
the bread man, Jasir Whittington, 4, going in to get that tackle.
Yeah, man.
So that
no, it's not, because four's right there on 58.
You're right.
I realize, because I can see that's 4 on the end there. That might be James, or it might be 4. Oh, it's 44.
Oh, Jimmy Scott.
Yeah, that's 44. I can see it. Okay.
And Jimmy Scott had himself a hell of a day yesterday too. Yeah. For the fans watching the show right now, Pitt had 6 sacks yesterday, the best of the year so far. And just when you see guys that are going to be able to create pressure, and Eric, you talked about it before, when you're able to get up pressure on just a 4-man rush, that's a beautiful thing when you don't have to rush more than that or blitz that many guys. Yep. And then, you mentioned the sacks, and 8 tackles for loss in one game as well is phenomenal. Hell of a job. And again, this kid, Jimmy Scott, out of New York area, coached up very well by his high school coach up in New York. People say, they don't want to grab certain kids out of New York because of talent level. This kid has been a superstar and has gotten better and better. And Jimmy Scott continues to play at a high level, and he just keeps getting better and better and playing his tail off and making sure he stays healthy too. So it's good to see him perform. Yeah, man. By the way, 11. He's getting some major props in the film room for knocking that guy on his ass.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 45 even does a good job. Look, he just stands that guy straight up and walks him back into the quarterback. I mean, everybody's doing a great job on this one. Look at this. Boom. There's better. We can see the number better. Yeah, 44. 45 boom. Doing a good job. Just boom. Yeah. Just hell of a job. I mean, just doing whatever they want. And then when you watch it in full speed, I mean, it even looks even worse for the Stanford O-line. I mean, it just collapses so quickly, and it's a full force. It's all 4 guys back there. It's all 4 of them. It looks like Pitt sent 7 guys. Tremendous job. I mean, just moving people. Joey Zielinski, 45. Yep. You love to see it. Last one, near and dear to my heart. This is why I think Poppy Williams is going to be a very, very good slot receiver in the NFL. This is his touchdown. Watch his footwork. Poppy Williams.
And if everybody needs to know, Poppy Williams is right here, number 5. Boom.
It's just filthy. I was obsessed with this play. It was just filthy.
That's called. I don't know. Obviously, you don't know what Capel calls it, but that's a stop route, and you can run it one of two ways. You can do it where you keep turning it like right here, and you pivot in.
Yeah.
Or what he does, he pivots and he takes one step and goes back out. I'm sure there's a different name for it, but we ran that. It's called a stop route. It's meant just to get first downs. And that linebacker or safety, whoever it is, safety, he just bites. That type of footwork, that type of short area quickness is why I think he's going to be a very, very good slot receiver.
Yeah, Loyal Sons tweeted this out today as well. Just a damn good play. And just to your point, Eric and Harry, I mean, it's just the footwork is just – you can't – I mean, it's hard to teach, man.
This play I mentioned before Kyle Lewis's tackle and Sincere Lee had a catch when he was basically falling to the ground. I thought those 3 plays stood out to me.
Yeah, I had that Sincere Lee play as well too, but I didn't want to send JJ like a whole hour and a half of clips. But yeah, this is just a great. Now I don't know if that's a actual route or if that's an adjustment from Poppy. I think it's something maybe Capel puts in a short yardage or like a red zone, but that is a stop route, which is just meant as a short, quick hitch. That's the first time I've seen a double move off of it, and it's a very, very good route. It's so sick, and as a receiver at heart, I love it.
Tremendous job, and it just goes to show, and you see it more and more. This team on offense is just really starting to click. When you're running routes like this, and it's all comfortability, and you're looking for guys, and obviously you can see he's going through his first progression here, then looking at his second progression, and he's there. It's all comfortability at this point. It's all muscle memory. They've already done it so many times, and now they're clicking.
Hey, JJ, I want to call it. I saw a comment here by Speedy Tortoise. Want to run this back one more time? Look at Boozy Turner picking up the blitz on that play, on that Poppy Williams play. I actually did not see that. Thanks, Speedy Tortoise, for that. Again, this is what happens. I'm just watching condensed. I don't necessarily get to see the whole thing. But if you bring up the Poppy Williams play one more time. Yep. Let's give Boozy his shout out here. Watch. There he is right there. But watch it go back. Yeah, that is a great job picking up the blitz. Let's watch that.
Oh, yeah, right here. Yeah.
Yeah,
this kid put his life on the line right here. Boom. Look at just stonewalls him.
Stonewalls in. Yep, exactly. And
look at him. Boom.
The announcers could not stop mentioning that he was small. They mentioned the word diminutive like 10 times during the game. It drove me crazy.
Yeah. And also, too, it kills me because there were a number of throws. And it's kind of funny that Speedy Tortoise talks about this block because there's also another one where Shakir and Boozy Turner picks up a block. It's like I want to say it's on our own 30, picks up a pass protection. My brother, I mean, he watches the Pitt games when he can, especially when you're in pro ball, you find some time to watch a little bit of the replays. We're watching the game, and the first thing he says, he sees Shakir and Boozy Turner on the one where he picks up a block. He's like, man, he goes, who is that kid? And I was like, yeah, that's a true freshman. He goes, dude, they better lock his ass up because that kid's going to be an absolute stud. The fact he's a true freshman and just putting his life on the line and just absolutely stonewalling a guy. I mean, that is great form. Also, too, look how he breaks down. Look at his footwork here and his base. Look at the base of where he's at. He knows exactly what's coming, and he says, basically, come on, get some. Boom.
Yep.
I'm here. I want this shit. Come here. Come get it.
Puts his face mask right in his shoulder pads. That's perfect technique. You know what that is? That's like the old school. I don't know. Does Narduzzi do Oklahoma drills?
I would imagine he does.
That's an Oklahoma drill right there, bro. Backs on backers. The drill that made Jaylen Warren famous.
Yeah, exactly. And it's these guys, just toughness. Desmond Reed the same way. These guys, they don't care. There's a balance with the club. You're trying to get in the club? I don't think so, kid. Boom.
And
Come back again. Come back again tomorrow.
Because of that block, you see when he hits him, look where Poppy's at. Because of that block, Mason's able to drift back and be able to make this play.
And look how long he holds that block. Eric, that's a great point. Look where he's at. When he makes contact, stonewalls him here. Look, he's not even – yeah, he's not even there yet. Look at that.
And now he sheds him, but the ball's gone.
Yeah.
See, now he sheds him. Yep, great job.
Here, yep. And it's already gone. Complimentary football, guys. And guess what? You're not doing that right there. It's very easy for a running back to say, hey, I'll do a little bit of something. I don't want no more. These are guys that are playing for each other and playing their ass off for each other. Because guess what? To hold that block for that long, even the same thing with Kendall Stanley. Look at here, especially up front and in the middle between Ryan Coretta and who am I thinking in the center here? Why am I forgetting his name already?
Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper, Lyndon Cooper. I mean, look at this. I mean, got news for you. Florida State ain't holding blocks that long. Boston College ain't holding blocks that long. These guys are playing lights out right now and playing at a high level. So whatever they're coaching in practice, whether it's Lindsey Lamar, Coach Lamar, or J.J. Laster, or Cade Bell, Coach Bronowski, this is no joke.
You mentioned Coretta. I know technically he's in as a backup, obviously, because we lost Gavea, but I don't know, man. I think we found our guard for the next few seasons.
Yeah.
He's been playing lights out.
I think PFF said he's only had two pressures in the last 4 games. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous.
And he had a huge – fans might not know this. He had a huge offer sheet but when he committed to Pitt. I mean, we had an in with him. But so I think he's going to be a bedrock on the line for a couple of years here.
I couldn't agree more. Going to head over to the comment section here to see what else we have here to finish up with our stuff here. We're obviously an hour and a half in. Gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for your time. Boozy must be freakishly strong to be this good in pass protection already, not to mention how he can run a dude over on that one run. And just to think he has plenty of time to add size and strength, I couldn't agree more with you. Play doesn't work without pickup of the blitz. Great call there. Looking for Warren from the Steelers. Good point. Again, that was great. That was great done. Good job there. We talked about that one. No matter how the score of the D, no matter the score, the D always plays as if it's 0-0. Constant pursuit. And Eric, you talked about that last week. It's almost as if it's not just 1 or 2 guys. It's 5, 6, 7 guys pursuing to the football. And that's not because they just want to. That is practiced. That is practice. That is conditioned to where they got to get after the ball. They have to pursue the ball or they're not going to get on the field.
100%.
Well, guys, again, Speedy Tortoise here. Lee is a playmaker, hell of a get. Couldn't agree more. KJ is a clear number 1 wide receiver finally. Could not agree more. Guys, got to show some love here, too. Love the Pitt band. We do love the Pitt band. They do a tremendous job. It's fun to watch them before the game kicks off. So that's always good. I think it's going to be pretty much it for tonight, guys. Again, final thoughts here. As we get ready, we will have a Sunday conversation next week to talk a little bit more about the stuff around college football and what happens. Will Pitt be ranked next week because the College Football Playoff Committee ranks their team. So the AP poll no longer matters. The real stuff comes out here. Again, final thoughts. Harry, what is your excitement level for this Notre Dame game? I mean, how, in your opinion, how big and massive is this football game?
I'm psyched. I really am. And I will tell you, we're one of the hottest teams in the nation right now, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be pounding the Irish when they come. I really do. I'm feeling extremely positive about it. What a season. It's been really exciting, and the narratives in this season have been fun to talk about.
Eric, what are your thoughts? The Notre Dame game, how big of a game is this, and how pumped are you to see the Pitt Panthers take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish?
I can't wait, man. I'm gonna be there. So I'm gonna be down there tailgate, man. I'm hoping it's a 3:30 game. I really do.
From my understanding, it's supposed to be a 3:30 game because the Steelers play the next day. From my understanding, here in a couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken. I think I don't know who the Steelers.
Yeah, that would be the home game versus the Bengals. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a home game there. So I don't think they'll play a night game. More than likely a 3:30 game. Potentially college game day coming to the Pittsburgh area, Acrisure.
It's ESPN's coming. They might ask us to pay extra just to come watch them walk by.
Yeah, if you're not a Hulu subscriber, you can't come to the game. That's gonna be the next thing. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, that's a whole other debacle.
Yeah, I'm super excited, man. I think Pitt did a lot of hard work. They took some big risks this season, all to get to this point. They made it through. Like we've talked about a few times. These 3 games do not matter unless they're 7-2.
I agree.
Right. This could not. I think, Harry, you posted this a few times on the Twitters, and JJ, I think as well. This bye week could not have come at a better time.
Oh, absolutely.
It allows them to regroup off of a shenanigans game at Stanford, get healthy, and prepare for a hell of a gauntlet. With 3 ranked teams, Miami obviously will be out of the top 10, with Georgia Tech probably as well. But still, we're going to be 3 top 20 teams back to back to back. I'm super excited. Because here's the deal. I think this is the hardest of the last 3 games.
I agree.
I really do think Notre Dame is.
That's a great point.
I think Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and Ohio State are the 3 best teams in the country. So this is going to be a really, really good litmus test for Pitt. And I like the way they match up with them because it's a pro-style offense, and I think the way their defense pursues, they got to keep Love in check. And if they keep doing that controlled passing game like I was talking about, they got a shot. They got a shot.
I couldn't agree more. And to your point, Eric, that is the matchup where I think it just works well in the Narduzzi defense. They want to stop the run. They want to run the football. It's kind of like who wants it more. So, gentlemen, I mean, talk about a treat for tonight for all the fans that were able to watch the show here tonight, the pod. An hour and 40 minutes. Gentlemen, cannot thank you enough, man. That's a long time. 40 minutes way past what I should keep you guys here for. So beyond thankful for both of you and your time, because obviously you want to keep it sensitive. But Harry, first up, where can they find you on all your socials?
So you could find me at Pitt Guru on X. I tweet out a lot of great information from Pittsburgh Sports Now and Mike Vakov can. Wrote a best-selling book on autism. I was honored. Big honor, actually, this week. It's been great. And you could find that at harrypaceris.com.
Tremendous job by Harry. And yes, please go out and take a look at that because the awards are coming in fast and furious. I mean, you are getting notarized from everybody. I mean, it's been a true success. And I can't say enough how proud I am, but also, too, how much I'm pumped up for you. I know Eric is as well, just because, one, people don't realize how hard it is to really write a book. I don't think people understand how hard it is to get it to the finish line, and you did it. So, and just the amount of success you're having, but the lives that you are impacting is limitless. I mean, it's only getting started.
To be recognized as one of the top 10 leading men of 2025 by MSN, I just want to be a preeminent voice for autism nationally and help people, and it's great to see it happening.
Couldn't agree more. And again, you're a pure leader, so we are beyond excited for you. Another leader, Eric, the Bird Cave, but a man, a great, again, tremendous podcast, but a great father, a great leader. We're truly blessed to have you on here, brother. Where can they find you at on all your socials?
First, before I say that, I think I'm going to give Harry an award for all of his awards.
Yeah, I'm going to give you an award. Yes.
He needs an award because you got so many awards, some well-deserved awards. So I'm proud to call you a friend, brother. Hey, so check me out on the Bird Cave, obviously at the Twitters and on X. I still have some good thoughts that I'm going to be posting about the Pitt game that we did not get to tonight, which is awesome. Check us out Monday and Thursday on our lives for the Bird Cave. Sure. We got some interesting Steelers talk for tomorrow night with GB and some others coming by. I wonder if anybody's still going to be asking who calls the defensive plays after this performance today. It's a very lively conversation. We have a couple brews. We talked to Steelers, probably hit a little bit of the Pitt game, and as well on Thursday at 8:15 on the YouTube, on Twitter or X, as well as on millions.co. As always, I appreciate everybody. I appreciate the shout outs. I appreciate everybody who comes over to the Bird Cave. We're still growing. So I hope everybody comes over and checks us out, and it'll be an awesome time, man. It's going to be a good show tomorrow. I can't wait.
Again, make sure you like and subscribe to the show. And again, make sure you guys follow them. You guys want to see the information that they post, which is incredible information, great leadership information, especially anything on sports or personally. Make sure you follow them. Do it now. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. As for here, don't be a hoe. Share the show. Make sure you share with a friend. Okay.
T-shirt, brother. That is a T-shirt right there, bro.
We got to get that on a shirt.
Gotta get that on the shirt.
Yeah.
Don't be a hoe, like the show.
Don't just hog it up all to yourself. All right. Don't be a hoe. Share the show. You know what I'm saying?
Share the show.
Share it with some friends. We want to get more subscribers. The goal is to get to 2,000 subscribers, guys, and we are certainly on our way. And cannot thank you guys enough for always supporting the show, supporting me, supporting Eric, supporting Harry. Cannot thank you guys enough. Guys, we got a bye week, but then it's on to Acrisure Stadium potentially at 3:30 in the afternoon for the Fighting Irish. Pitt against the Fighting Irish, potentially a top 25 battle against a top 10 team. It looks like going into that game. It's going to be a hell of a time. Guys, cannot thank you enough for tuning into another show. Again, we'll see you guys next time. This has been another episode of Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. Again, as always and forever, hail to Pitt, hail to the ACC, and let's let the thunder roll. I'll see you guys next time.
Let's go.
Let's go.